evening and welcome to Sister Talk. I am glad that you have joined us today once again. In today's show, we are going to deal with communication in relationships. Man is not an island, therefore we need communication, we need relationships here and there, ranging from families, workplace, day-to-day life, community, and even in marriage. What are the challenges that come by when people don't communicate right? In today's show, I have a panel of well-seasoned and experienced people who are going to tackle this issue together with me. And on set, I have Chris J. Atemo. Pastor Chris is a personal development coach. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. We also have Rose Nyamwea, a financial specialist. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Pleasure.
I hope you guys are having a good day, Pastor Chris.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd like us to explore the aspects of communication, the differences in communication between men and women, and how these affect our day-to-day, relationships. So if you're tuning in, please share the feed on both Facebook and YouTube. Invite your friends. Let us talk today on this matter. And I hope by the end of the show, you're going to be sorted. I'm your host, Linda Talam. So maybe I'll start with you, Chris. What are the aspects in communication? Because it is said words take only a very short, small percentage in communication.
Well, that's broad. So I'll begin from saying that communication is not seen or said to have been done until the person who is the recipient of whatever is being communicated, the message, is at the same place as the one who was disseminating that information. Which means if I am either speaking to you, sending whatever message it would be, body language, whichever way it would be, it is not communication until your interpretation is equal to my intention. And then there is feedback to that. Because there's what I think, there's what I say and how I say it. There's what you hear and how you hear it. Then there's how you interpret it. So I could just say something as simple as, today you're looking good. Your interpretation is, so I'm never looking good every day. You see?
Yeah.
Just by me hearing that word today.
Yeah.
So we will not have communicated, because then we'll start having an argument on whether, so you mean every day I don't look good. It's only today that you've noticed.
Yeah.
So what my intention was has not been your interpretation.
Yeah.
So it has got to align. And that means that then there will be a lot of things to be done in order to make sure that that communication is actually clear and it gets to the other person.
Yeah.
So the recipient and the response is the one that determines if the communication was effective or not.
Yes.
So today might not be.
Yes.
That's how a fight starts.
And actually, the difference between the today and his today usually happens with the ladies and men. Because for a man, today you look nice, he feels good. A lady is the one who will ask, you mean I wasn't looking good yesterday? Yeah, there's a big difference with that sentence.
Or that color looks good on you.
Yes.
So you mean the black I wore yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the aspects of communication, I think let's explore a little bit on the gestures, the use of gestures and body language. How does that affect communication, Rose?
The gestures and body language can either make the communication positive or negative. Because there is a way, if I pointed a finger at you when I'm talking to you, and just generally even African, if I'm talking to a man and I'm pointing the finger, it communicates something else. It's like someone who lacks respect, someone who thinks they are domineering. On the other hand, when it comes to body language, I can actually just hold your hand and I'll communicate something. I don't need to talk. Like sometimes when you are handling someone who is going through issues, sometimes you don't need to talk. When you just hold their hand, it speaks to them. So the gestures and the body language, I touch, or maybe if I kissed your cheek, okay, a guy will say that he's just being polite. A lady thinks, hey, something is up.
To that.
Yes. So there are just those different things, and even the way I stand. Usually, if I'm talking to you and you don't look at me in the eye, Of course, it's not African, but you know, if you don't look like you are concentrating on me, then I don't think that you are listening. If I come to maybe your office and I'm talking to you and you are continuing to do things, you might not have any bad intention, but as long as you don't have contact. So your body language, your gestures, they make a big difference. Yeah.
Would you say then, CJ, that listening is an aspect of communication?
It is, and I think it is the biggest part.
Yes, I agree, the biggest part.
It is the biggest part of that communication. Because, you see, if you're not listening, it means that you're not even, okay, for lack of a better word, empathizing. You're not putting yourself in the place of the person that is trying to communicate. Most of the misinterpretation is because we don't listen.
Yeah.
We don't listen. We hear, and we hear what we want to hear. But we're not listening. We're not paying attention. And listening is more than just the words. You know, when she talks about sometimes just a touch, listening could be, I can see your cry without you having to bring it out.
Yes.
I can tell Linda is not okay. That's listening. It's an art of paying attention. And I can see your eyes and I know this is not her. She's not okay today. And maybe she just needs me to sit there. Maybe she needs me to talk to her. Maybe she needs me to hold her hand. Can I do something for you? That's listening as well. It goes beyond when the other person is talking. It's just you being able to pay attention, put yourself in that other person's space and begin to pick up the signals that they're sending.
So then you kind of pick out the emotion or the signals, as you've said, that the person is going through and just act using a gesture or whatever you can do. But then how can you show someone that you are listening? Because sometimes you're talking to someone, or probably your husband, and you're telling him something important, then he's like, I'm listening, but they're not looking at you.
You know what, something that we know, men just focus one direction. If he's on his phone, he's not listening. And you see, that is really the problem. And many times...
sometimes, Rose, when you ask them, are you listening to what I'm saying? They're like, I'm listening. Continue.
Ask him to repeat it. No, you know, what Chris is saying is so true.
Yeah.
You know, many times you have people who will tell you, I've heard. But, you know, if I'm listening to you, I'm engaged with your emotion. Yeah. Even the thing that you're not saying, I can see it. You know, I can come to you and ask you, Linda, how are you? And you tell me I'm doing fine. Yeah. But if I was keen enough to listen, I can just listen to the tone you have used. When I look at your face, I look at your eyes, they speak something else. So it's very important to actually listen, where you engage the whole of yourself with someone. And that's why you find that there are people who you see, like, they seem to be getting on well, they talk to each other and everything. And then they come to you and they tell you he doesn't care. He's not listening. And you start wondering, but you're always talking. The talking and the talking, the hearing and the listening, it's the same way that I say the seeing and the looking. Yeah, because you can see something, but you never looked. So you are not engaging yourself just a bit more. Yeah.
So then listening is deeper than just hearing.
Yes.
And looking is more than just seeing. So
yes.
There has to be a balance in both those aspects, as you're saying. Then would we say that our culture kind of determines how we respond in terms of how we use our gestures, body language? As you said earlier, pointing in Africa to a man, that's disrespect.
Serious.
Culture is a huge thing when it comes to body language. In certain cultures, they will say you need to have a firm handshake. I think in the African culture, you're shaking
Kenya,
hands
if you're shaking
with your elder,
and
then it's a firm handshake.
Yeah.
That's going to be seen as disrespect.
Yes.
Some cultures feel like if I'm talking to you, you need to look at me in the eye. Some other people have been trained in their culture, you cannot look at your elder in the eye. So you have to understand the context of the culture in order for you to communicate. Otherwise, it can become very offensive. Something that is a norm for you can become offensive somewhere else.
But there was a time, the first time I did an interview with some Americans, I had a big challenge because I was told that for them, if you don't look at them in the eye, they assume that you are not speaking the truth. for us, we have been taught you don't look. In fact, my mother will ask you, why are you looking with dry eyes in my face? You know, you are taught not to, especially like a man. You know, it seemed like you are trying to pass a message. Why are you looking at him in the eye? So, you know, you are doing this interview and you're caught between. You want to look at him for the job, but you don't want to look at him because, you know, that's not the way you are brought up. And then, you know, he also, the way he said a handshake. Because, you know, when you, there are those who believe you give a firm handshake, it communicates that you are together. But some of us, we have been taught if you do that, it is disrespectful, it's communicating something else. So, you know, you are used to slipping your hand through. Yeah. You just slip your hand through and look down. Yeah.
And there are those, if you slip your hand through, it feels like you're being boastful or you're a snob.
Yes.
Of some sort. So if you're tuning in, I hope you're engaging us. Feel free to send your questions on the message section so that we can pick them out and probably try to answer them next week, because this panel is going to be there also next week. I hope you're sharing the feed with your friends, and also send us a text on the SMS lines that are running below your screens so that we can get your feedback too. So then we come to the aspect of the differences of communication between men and women, CJ. What are some of the, you know, outstanding differences between a man's communication and a woman's communication?
Well, you know, men are very linear in their communication. It's straight to the point.
Yeah.
How was your day? It was good. For a lady, you better have time. If you ask about how was your day, you better have time. Don't just ask. And I think that's where sometimes we fail as men, because we will ask it, and then she's ready to tell you how her day was. And everybody that she met, everywhere that she went, how she felt about certain things. It's not just that I went to this place and I shopped. No, it's how the shopkeeper made her feel. It's what happened before the shopkeeper did that, and all of this. So it's very circular, that communication. But then we want to just hear, was it good or not? So we ask questions that we don't even have the time for, because men are very linear. Sometimes then it looks like we don't divulge information. But this is just us. If we walk into a supermarket, we go straight into where we wanted to buy something, pick up something and get out. That's not mostly true for a lady. She knows what she came for, but then she wants to see the environment as well. You know, so the communication of a lady involves her entire environment. And that's just generally women. They communicate with the environment as well. Even in the house, they want to take care of the whole environment. So if the environment is polluted, the woman feels disadvantaged. If things are not working in the house, even her communication will be affected, because she's very environmental. For the man, he's very linear. And that is why we can go past things and still do business with people that we don't like. For a lady, she doesn't like you. She would rather go all the way to Kitengela to get a product you have over here.
Yeah.
Because the whole environment communicates to her. So she's not going to talk to you. She'd rather drive 40 kilometers away. In listening as well. So men are also, you know, we've got short spans of concentration. So if you're going to say something, you better crush it.
Say quick.
Say it in few words.
But when it is very important, mostly then men process too long. Sometimes what is assumed to be that the man was listening, you know, you're playing with he was on his phone, is he doesn't have answers to whatever you're saying at that particular point.
And we're going to ask that question.
At that point, he doesn't have answers to what you were asking. He doesn't know which way he's going to get the answers from. Probably it's a financial situation, probably something to do with the kids that he's being told. There's this situation going on with the kids, they're teenage, and so he doesn't know what to say at that particular point. So he's processing. And men, I think, take longer to process when it comes to serious decisions. So you could have said something in January, and if you repeat it now, he'll tell you, yeah, I have it at the back of my mind. I'm still thinking about it.
And the lady doesn't believe that.
She cannot believe that. Because in his mind, he has to move the whole world to come and arrive at that particular solution that you need. For a lady, if it is communicated now, she can quickly find a solution, work out something around it. Yeah.
So then, especially when a man does not give a response quickly, the lady feels like he's not prioritizing what I brought up is taking too long.
Sure.
What are some of the differences, Rose, that you have encountered in terms of communication between men and women?
I think between men and women, there is usually the way something is said. It really makes a difference because as we are just using the simple thing that today you look like this, you know, it just makes so much of a difference. So, and as you were saying, men, for them, they just have a short time to do what they are doing. So you find that a man is communicating something and he thinks that there's no problem. And, you know, just even the tone, the way it comes out, because like now when I ask you, I told you something in January, we are now in December, what is happening? And then you say, I'm thinking about it. So she just, you know, now for me, I'll just say, this guy is not serious, forget about it. Yeah, and you know, I feel like you're being antagonistic, you know, just that thinking about it. It's like you're against me, you are. So, you know, just that sentence that I'm thinking about it. And, you know, if you don't understand each other, then that's where the problem comes.
I think probably ladies feel like he's not giving my ideas weight.
Yes. Because actually you think that there are other things he's told and he has an answer. Now this one he's taking 1 year. And you know, usually you have this thing of, if it was his friend who told him the same thing, he would have answered him. But now that it's me, he's taking the whole year. But you know, you don't realize a friend, there's no damage done, even if it doesn't work out. But with you, if it doesn't work out, there's more damage. So I think just the tone, and also for me, I find that if a man is talking to me and I'm continuing to work, he doesn't take offense. He assumes I'm listening as much as I'm doing what I'm doing. But for a lady, I'm talking to you and you're continuing to do your thing. I just know this person is not concentrating. And that's when you find we drop sentences halfway. Because I'm just telling myself I'm wasting my time, this person is not listening. And yet you could be listening, and you know we operate on stereotypes. So as long as he's doing that, you just know. Men, you're told they're one line. If he's on his phone, he's not listening. If he's with a newspaper, if it's a football match, forget it. You'll need to repeat what he said later on.
So, So CJ, let me ask then, are communication, the differences in communication between men and women, are they informed by the different personality types?
Sometimes, but also just, you know, how men are wired and how women are wired, because it is said that we use one side of the brain. I think I've done a very good job with that one side. I've maximized the one side. But you say men use one side of the brain, women use two. So how they will process things, just how we are wired, the anatomy itself will make us have very diverse ways of communication. But I like going sometimes to the very origin of mankind in the Bible. And when Adam was created, he had nobody to talk to. He only communed with God. So it then to me explains why men don't talk much. Because from the very beginning, they weren't talking. They were meditating. When the woman came, she had a voice. The very first, when she appeared, she had the man say, "This is bone of my bones." So women generally don't know how to deal with silence from the very beginning, because she was cultured from the very beginning to be spoken to, and there was somebody to speak to. So much so that when Adam wasn't talking, the serpent found a place. You just want to get a woman, begin a conversation. You will get her anywhere. Just begin a conversation. You know, that's why they'll start conversations in the salon. They'll start it at a school function with total strangers. By the time they leave that place, this one knows how many kids the other person has, how old they are, all of that. For men, our comfortable place is just to watch the garden. You know, they're just looking, they're clueless.
That's why probably the remote is your best friend.
Because all these conversations,
it doesn't disturb you,
are going on in your mind. And generally then you will see that whenever men are under pressure, they go quiet, because then they process things in their mind. The balance is for the man to know that the woman cannot handle that silence. She needs to know. she wants to be part of this process. But he normally feels like there's no need to bring her into the process because I need to give her the product. But she wants to be part of it. So he may not divulge everything. The woman's balance is to understand that the man mostly will process things internally, then he will communicate very little verbally. So they have to strike a balance somewhere. The man to speak a bit more, and the woman to give a bit more space, so that even if he doesn't say too much, he creates an environment where the man would want to speak from.
Mm-hmm. So then the fight normally starts when they both don't understand the way the genders process information. Mm-hmm. And also, you know, at the end of the day, the man wants to give the solution. Mm-hmm. The lady wants to know, how are you going to get the solution?
Yes. Yeah. She wants to be involved. Yeah. I'm not just waiting for a product. Yeah. I want to understand the process. I want to be part of it, especially if you are married. Yeah. You're wondering, you just want to roll out products.
Yeah. All right. I've encountered so many. The other day I was doing an interview here with some men, mm-hmm. and they said they're married, and they were saying in marriage sometimes they feel it's not what the woman says, it's how they say it that makes the whole difference, whether he's going to respond to it or react to it in a certain way. So then how can one package the information in order to ensure that the how in the communication is effective and brings out a positive response? I know you probably speak for the ladies.
that one I've heard it, and you know now when you come in as a lady, you also say he also doesn't use the right tone. He doesn't speak at the right time. You know, he doesn't answer the right question. But I think the thing is that usually I find that in marriage there's no blueprint. We all operate differently, and our understanding is different. But the thing is, the thing that I find that is important is to understand your spouse and understand how they appreciate information, how they appreciate things being done. But also there's just that one of the common sense, where you find that there's a major issue you want to talk about. The man has just walked into the house, you drop the bomb on him. Of course, the first reaction is to like repel you off so fast because they were not anticipating. And also the other thing is that it also depends on the kind of relationship you've been having. Because if you have not nurtured your relationship, everything that you say doesn't seem like it's said right. It's not said at the right time, it's not said with the right tone, and you know, all that kind of a thing. So sometimes you find that, as you were saying, ladies, we are like in the whole environment. So a small thing can really spark you. So you find that you've got agitated about something even before you've said it. So that is why it is important for you to actually weigh your words, look at what is happening, consider where the man is coming from, and ask yourself, is this the right time? You know, when you start, when he has gone out, and you know, maybe someone doing business is not going well, and then he comes in and you say, and then now you've come with nothing, you know. Now he will retreat, not to think, but you know, it's just like, I don't want to hear any more of that. So I think, especially in marriage, you need to have reached a place in your relationship where you understand when is it the right time to say something. But most of the time when you find things that are shooting out, ladies carry very many things, not like men who are processing. For us, there are very many emotions because they are just small things that can really trigger you. So, you know, I've told you something, you never did it, I've seen this thing is not going right, I've seen that. So when you walk in, I just explode. Yeah.
A time bomb.
Yes. And you know, that's the time that even if you told me the wrong tone, for me, I want you to sort it out before you tell me about tone, time, or anything. So the important thing is for a couple to learn each other, and also to ask God, by the way, for the grace. I think especially for ladies, sometimes because we are carrying so many small things, you almost feel like screaming every other time. So you need to ask God to give you a level of self-control, so that you are able to actually just wait to a time when you've calmed down, then you can bring out the issue. Because, of course, there was a time I was saying that, you know, it's only ladies who gossip. These days I find men gossiping. Men also gossip, some even more than ladies. So I don't want to say it's a lady thing. Because when I'm talking about women just exploding, even these days men just explode. The only thing is that the difference, when you explode, the lady shrinks. And me, when I explode and you shout at me, I crawl back. But the thing is that it's good to actually for both sides to ask themselves, what is the best time to talk? How should I say what I want to say? And just nurture that relationship. You know, you can get to a point where you can say anything at any time when you know each other well and you know how to put a point across. So as you were saying, the conversation is not what you say. It is what the person hears and how they respond to it. So we should be looking at having conversation, not talking to each other. In fact, not talking at each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So ladies need to learn the environment. Even the men need to know the environment before they communicate something.
Yes.
So that it does not become an explosion of some sort.
Yes.
And I think also, as you say, the background of the explosion is normally someone has seated issues in them, probably not sorted out for a while.
Yes.
So when something happens, it becomes a whole drama. We are going to go on a break right now, but when we come back, we are going to talk a little bit more on this issue. Don't go anywhere. See you shortly.
Have you been desiring a place where you can get wholesome education? Search no more. Gospel Light College offers a bachelor's degree in biblical studies and community development. We also offer certificate and diploma courses. May 2021 intake is ongoing. Book your slot today by calling 0713663117. That's 0713663117. Gospel Light College, equipping you intellectually, socially, and spiritually.
Welcome back to Sister Talk. Thank you for staying tuned and not going anywhere. Also, of course, sharing the feed with your friends on Facebook and YouTube. We are glad that you are also engaging with us. Before we went on a break, we discussed on the aspects of communication, the difference in communication between men and women. And also before we went on a break, we looked at the how in communication. When is the right time to communicate something and how? So right now, I'd like us to look at some of the questions that you posed when we asked you. So the first one is, CJ, we were talking about the how in communication before we went on a break. Then what are the red flags or the pitfalls in communication so that you realize, oh, this is bad, or we are heading the wrong direction?
Well, I think, as she said, you've got to understand your partner very well. You've got to understand, apart from the broader cultural aspect that I talked about earlier on, whether you're African or something else, you also have got to understand how has this person been socialized in communication. If they came from, for example, a family where the parents are very hostile to them, there's a tone you bring in and it sets them in default where they feel they're being attacked. It's more, it brings them back to the place of how they have grown up. Probably the father was a very harsh person or something. So they will most generally either coil or they will slip out on that. It's important to understand this person. What are the issues that they have dealt with as well? What does something mean to them? They probably have been in a relationship or two. If it was abusive and then you come with a certain tone, they just feel like this is going to end up like the other one. So you must take time to understand your partner. Whatever you don't understand, I'll always say that if you don't understand something, ask, what do you mean by that? It doesn't make you a fool. It means that you want to really understand the other person. What does that mean? What do you understand by this? Then you get to also understand what methods work for you. Like if you're upset or you have a difficult issue to deal with, should you do it face to face? Is it something that needs to be communicated from within the house or elsewhere? What kind of environment works for the two of you? Is it something that then you need to put on text? Because some people do not know how to express themselves face to face. They're a bit fearful. Again, maybe they socialize in a way that they do not know how to raise issues and confront issues. So they would better write. They would rather write. Now, if that is your partner, then you need to give them that space. And then you come back into the conversation because they've already laid a foundation for it. So you have to actually learn how your partner communicates, both in the good times and in the bad times. Yeah.
Okay, so that will help in terms of looking at the pitfalls. There's this treatment that ladies like using, the silent treatment. We wait until one person blinks. Who is going to blink first? Is that a good thing sometimes?
Silent treatment is also one of the ways of communicating. But it is a negative way of communicating, a very negative way of communicating. Because you see, the thing is that as you keep quiet, and you've said it's ladies who do that a lot, as you keep quiet, you start accumulating the anger. Because as you are silent, there are other things happening, and you are adding them on top of that one. So you end up accumulating so much anger within that you are more like explosive. And then on the other hand, because you are not talking, you find that there's a rift in your relationship. You start growing apart because men are not into digging things. So when you keep quiet, and he also backs off. And he's waiting for you to start talking. And I don't know which magic you want to happen so that you start talking. Because you know you're waiting for the man, and him is like keeping off. He's like, hey, this one is piling pressure. Let me keep off. So with time, you just find you've gone separate paths. Most of the time, the woman is very bitter. The man is very innocent because he doesn't know what's happening. So he acts like, I don't understand. In fact, even, you know, when you go and talk to your girlfriends, and then she talks to the husband, and he comes to talk to him, he just says, I don't know what's happening. She's just quiet. And by the way, they are sincere, because many times they don't understand what it is that you are carrying. So the thing that I find, it's a method of communication, but it is negative. And it usually makes the issue even worse. But the thing is that now from both sides, there has to be a way, because the man is not blinking. He doesn't know what happened. So really, it's up to you. And many times, you know, you just have to come to yourself and you tell yourself, let life go on, because you realize nothing is happening. But there are times, in marriage, you hear people have not talked for 1 year. They're sleeping in different rooms, but going together, they walk together into church, you know, outside in the supermarket, they are smiling at each other, but once they're in the house, they're not talking. So you just find, and especially if they're kids, it has a very negative effect. Children these days are so intelligent, they pick up those signals so fast, and then they don't know what to do, because they don't know whether to talk to mom or dad, because they're both not talking. So it's actually not a good position.
So then we'd say silent treatment is one of the red flags in communication.
A very negative one, very red.
It's redder than red.
Yes.
So CJ, would you say that sometimes when men act clueless, it's because they don't have a solution to the problem that's happening in the house or in the relationship?
In a sense, yes. Sometimes you see, even when we say, I don't know what's going on, For the woman, she feels I've communicated the problem over time. Now we go back to the place of whether they feel that they're being listened to. She may be feeling like, I talked about this thing last year in July, I talked about it in November, I talked about it in January. I've not seen any progress. So by the time she is probably bringing in the silent treatment, she's thinking, I spoke about this thing from July, so I don't want to talk about it again. And the man is thinking, you are not happy because this morning I didn't take tea when I was leaving. Because he's always in the moment. Men are always in the moment. So we look at it from today. Like, what has really happened? I mean, I just said I couldn't take tea because I was late. Then I rushed out, so she's not talking. But for her, it is from the last time that she spoke, she feels I'm not being listened to. There's how she will interpret these things and extrapolate them. Just a simple thing. You know, you could be told the food had a bit of salt, and to a woman that means you don't like my food. It's a whole thing. You say, if I don't comment on the hair, she'll change it tomorrow. It's more than just that. You tell a man that shirt is not good, he'll change the shirt. His self-esteem will not go lower. He'll just change the shirt. He knows it was the shirt and it's the shirt. So sometimes by the time that she gets to the place of the silent treatment, we are looking at what happened today. She's looking at what is the build-up.
No, what happened last year.
Yes, all the way. And if you sit down, she can recount to you. Last year on the 4th of April, just 2 weeks into Corona, there was this, you know, with the detail.
No, by the way, you know, there was a time, 12 years down the line, I've forgotten what my husband did. And I told him, do you know that that's the same thing you did 12 years ago? And he was so shocked by I just dropped the thing because, you know, he was so shocked. He's asking me 12 years and you have the detail. Yeah, that's ladies.
He was literally lost for words.
He was lost, by the way.
So the cluelessness sometimes is we don't understand what this thing means to the other person. Sometimes we know the situation, but we either downplay its importance to the other person or we do not understand the weight of that matter to the other person. So I would always encourage that if it means something to your partner, pay attention to it, even if it looks small. Mostly for us men, we trivialize a lot of things.
So then the lady is wondering, so how should I make it seem, you know, big, or, you know, for you to pay attention to that? How should she bring it out so that the man understands, wow, this is actually important to her?
Well, don't do the 3 a.m. we need to talk. Because then his defense mode just goes up. I think one of the issues with how we communicate is sometimes we wait until there is a crisis, then we want to communicate it. And a lot of times, before I even came here today, we're talking with a certain gentleman, and most times men feel attacked in relationships because when a lady has an issue, she will bring it up. A man may just cover, slide, let it pass, you know. Rarely will you find, unless there's quite huge matters of national importance, rarely will you find a man sitting his wife daily down and saying, I don't like this, I don't like this. But a woman could be like, you came late today, I didn't like, you talked too long with the other person, I don't like that you're a friend, I don't like this. She feels like she needs to communicate all of that. So most of the time men feel that they are the ones who are on the dock. Now, so when you bring up something that he would feel like is an attack, he most probably would then defend himself.
Maybe just to interject a little bit, into communication there is that we, I feel, you. How should they use words so that the man does not, you know, become defensive and, you know, lock himself up?
You know, you set the environment. Set the environment. Anytime you make the man feel safe, he will communicate.
How safe is
he will communicate. And I think men withhold information most of the time because they are weighing the repercussions. Because they know, you know, whenever people are arrested, they are told you have the right to remain silent, because everything you say could and may be used against you. And most men feel like that when they're with a lady, that you may say something. You may just say something like, I was with Linda today and we really chatted. That girl is very brilliant. That's not what this woman is hearing.
Yeah.
She's hearing, so now you like Linda. It's a very different thing depending on how that environment has been. Oh, I was hanging out with this guy. He's a very bright, brilliant business person and stuff. She's hearing, so you want to take our savings into that thing right over there.
Yeah.
She will hear something totally different because she's also trying. I think the frustration of the woman is to know, okay, what is the end game? So she tries to bring that by herself.
Sure.
Like, where is this thing going? So it is important for that conversation to be brought up in a good environment at a time when there is no crisis. This person needs to know, and just let them know, like, okay, I know you love doing this and this is who you are, and I appreciate that aspect. But when you do that, this is how it makes me feel. And this is how I interpret it. And because of that, this is how it is affecting me. And I think it is affecting our relationship. So I don't know what you can do about that. Without them feeling completely targeted, they also need to know where you are at that particular point.
Yeah,
I think there's something that he said which is important, which many times I think as ladies, when we are flying off, you don't remember that, because I usually come and say, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this, and it's a whole list, and then you leave it there. And that's why he feels attacked. But you see, if you are to approach it from, when you did this, I felt this, I feel this, I wanted, now you're talking about yourself. You're not talking about him. So but when you start, you did this one, you did this one. So he's actually wondering, what is it? And then, there's a way men can act so clueless. And, you don't realize how it now even makes the lady even more annoyed. Because, I feel you are being insensitive. I'm telling you something and I'm explaining to you. And then at the end of the day, you are saying, I didn't think it was a major thing. Really? And I've talked 1 hour. That being clueless, it just makes the lady feel you're not being sensitive.
I hope you're enjoying the show and you're, commenting and engaging us. Let us know what you think, how you feel, what are your questions that are coming up even as the show goes on. Men, I hope you always don't feel attacked. We repent, but also, don't always act clueless, is what Rose is trying to say. I'm still back to the packaging of words, CJ. Sometimes, as she says, when you tell a man, you did not drink my tea, you talked to her too much, you did this, you did this, without bringing out the aspect. So then if you're telling me I did this, what do you feel? It makes the man, shut himself up, and the lady feels rejected at the same time. So then we are saying that we should learn to package our words. If you feel you need to bring something, bring your feelings, not you, not what he or she did not do, but what you want done. Then that would be a better way of communicating.
Yes, because they need to understand, as I said at the beginning, when I say something, my intention has got to become your interpretation. So when you tell me how you interpreted either my actions or my words, I get to know better whether I needed to use different words or I needed to act in a better way for you to get the message. Unless I am not interested in the relationship. Sometimes people are not. So they don't care whether you got the right message or not. But if the person is interested and invested in it, they will work it out. And that's why you see we talk about marriages work. We love the hashtag marriage works, but for it to work, you've got to work it. And even as you grow, your ways of communication also change. Your preferences change, probably by exposure or just by certain other changes that are coming into your life. Something as simple as when you're younger, you want the music loud. When you're older, that's too high volume, It's still the same you tone it down and stuff like that. At some point, you may be very confrontational. At a certain point, you feel like, I don't want too many fights. Can we just have a civil way of handling matters, So it may mean that somebody then will not immediately want to talk about something when there's too much heat They want to talk when it is a bit calm because they've got to keep their pressure low.
Yeah.
They're too old for that particular point.
Yeah.
So it's important to know where your partner is at any one point. I'll say this, I think that this is how most women are hurting in relationships, because a lot of times they do not really express where they are at, and then the men do not know. And sometimes we keep on aggravating the very same wound. We keep on doing the same things or saying the same thing, and then maybe trying to do something big to cover up for the little things that were not done. Like when a man is coming with a gift, he's communicating. That is his way of saying sorry. But sometimes you don't want this.
You don't want the gift. He
You don't
brings
want
it and you're like, I don't need that. I'm waiting for you to talk to me.
Yeah, and feel
Is
the
it then
person.
difficult, CJ, for a man to just say, I'm sorry? Is
Well,
it normally
again-
a big deal, or they feel, you know?
I think it is see, if you ever go back, if you just go back to the beginning, then you will understand the man totally. He thinks that providing is a way of showing love and showing remorse. So he thinks that if I do something, it is going to get her attention, and I will win her affection, and she can forgo and forgive everything else because I have done something. But you see, if I buy a house today for a wife who was not happy with me, she won't even feel like getting into that house.
Yeah.
So
She can actually tell you keep the house.
keep the house.
Because all she needs is conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes we don't pay that attention to the person. It is important for us as men to begin paying attention to the person. When we're in courtship, when we're in dating, when we're in pursuit, we really pay attention to the person. Then when we get up there, we focus more on the responsibility. So instead of saying sorry, you feel like, can we go out with the kids? You know, so you feel, because you're afraid of asking what is really wrong.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to hear you did something wrong. So you just come like, honey, I've booked a holiday for us and the kids. So she's thinking, why did you bring the kids into this whole matter?
So that in case you don't want to talk to me, you talk to them.
So it's a vacation for 4 days. Then you come back into the house and the issue is not solved.
Things are worse.
And the man is thinking, but we even went out and we were fine. She did that for the children. But the issues were not talked about. So then the man thinks, let me do something else again, and let me do something else. And the more we do that, the more irritated she gets.
Wow. Maybe Linda, if I'd ask CJ. Okay, the issue about talking. What of, yeah, I try everything, the environment seems right, but whenever I bring up an issue, you say leave that one alone. Yeah, it's leave that one alone, and then you just keep on leave that one. And you know, for me, as long as you've not responded, then I'm not satisfied.
Yes.
Then I'll keep on bringing it. Then someone says you are nagging.
Yeah.
This processing, you know, the processing is on that makes you say leave that one alone. What would you want the lady to do?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just that in that particular case, we need to learn how to communicate totally. Men don't know how to be on the spot, mostly. To a great degree, ladies learn how to communicate because they will be talking a lot more. They have a bit more of mentorship. When a boy grows into probably teenage, he goes quiet. We feel he's a teenager. So even if he's quiet, it's okay. But we are losing a man right there. He's in a certain crucial stage of learning how to communicate his feelings. He's coming into his person, but then he goes into a cocoon and he's quiet, and we feel that's okay. For a lady, the mother will ask, what's going on? And something, so she's expressive. So men are mostly not trained to communicate. And even when they do, they're only supposed to communicate strength. So they do not know how to handle weakness and points of failure. When an issue keeps on coming that the person feels he doesn't know how to handle, so maybe he will just throw it to the side. I'll handle that. just leave that alone. But it is a matter of him understanding again, this thing means this to this other person. And I think that's why sometimes when it gets into places like silent treatment, that's when it gets into places where maybe somebody has moved out for 2 days or 3 days. They've said, I need to go away. By myself, that's when the man pays attention. It's more like Moses and the burning bush. That's when it's like, wow.
He suddenly wakes up.
The burning bush effect.
What's going on? What's going on? So it's like, I've been trying to get us talk about this. Sometimes, as much as we blame the women sometimes for the drama, sometimes men need drama to pay attention.
By the way, they need a lot of drama.
So then we'd say that each has to take responsibility to be able to bring out effective communication.
Sure.
Yes.
The man should not always act clueless, and the lady should always learn to communicate effectively.
You know, like the example he was saying about tea, you know, there are two ways. You never took my tea in the morning, so when you come, I ask, why didn't you drink the tea? That's one thing. Then he feels he's ambushed. If I was to ask, hey, the way I woke up early to make the tea, mbona ulitoka hivyo? You know, that's a totally different thing.
Different, yeah.
Now he will say, no, I was late. But you know that one of the, why didn't you drink the tea? You know, it's like a small kid.
They feel ambushed.
Yeah.
But there's another question, is it okay to tell it all, open your hearts, lay everything bare, or sometimes it's good to withhold and tell God? Rose?
In terms of what?
In terms of communication, like today I found John started hitting on me. Are there information that are crucial for you to pass, and then some you can, just withhold so that, someone does not feel overloaded with the information?
I think it's good to sieve the kind of information you are passing across, because the thing is that John was hitting on you, you are telling your husband. But, it's like, are you trying to tell him that I'm still attractive? Or are you trying to tell him that, this is a normal thing, men are hitting on me? So it doesn't become very wise. The best thing for you to do is to sort out that one. Because that is really, it's not something you're bringing to him. Because he can choose to sort it. He'll be at your office tomorrow. He's going to sort out John. So that one you can keep to yourself. But the thing is that, okay, in terms of overload, you should be careful, the kind of thing that you are passing across. Because there are some things that you are passing across that are going to add to his stress, which he already has. There are other things that for sure you should have just prayed through. There are other things maybe you should have gone to ask your mother, not asking him. So you should be intelligent enough to sieve the information. You see, like for me, if I come from office and I'm feeling frustrated, of course, now 30 years into marriage, Bishop has known how to style up. So when I start raising an issue about office, because we talk about it, he'll know that this one, it's actually bringing a problem. So he'll stop what he's doing and he'll listen. But I cannot engage him for 2 hours on that same thing. I will bring out the crucial things. I think there are people who are handling me badly. I think the work is too much. I think there was a better way of someone handling this. And he'll give me his professional guidance, because he has done HR. So he'll tell me, no, this thing is not meant to be like that. Now, I can't carry him over the whole night with the same story. So there are things that you need to sieve them out. There are those small ones you can talk with your girlfriends. These guys need major things. They need major things.
They need national security
issues. Yes. So you should be able to balance them out. God has given us wisdom. The one that you don't have wisdom, go back to him and ask him, how do I sort this one out? And the others, it's just a talk with one of your girlfriends, maybe your best mate, an older person, your mom, but your mom will think this crisis, that one also needs the national issues. So you weigh out. But for sure he can't take too much. Because I can talk about my office today and tomorrow. I can't, by the third day, when I start talking, he'll be doing his own thing.
Maybe because of time, CJ, I'd like you to weigh in on that. Sometimes there's that professional, communication. Good morning. How was your day? Fine. Everybody's going to bed. So maybe comment on that. Is it okay to tell everything, or can withhold sometimes?
No, it's not okay to tell everything. It's not. It's not because, again, it's not everything that needs your partner's attention. There's certain things you can handle, unless the thing becomes a nuisance. Like if the other person, for example, if it is somebody who's trying to get into your space and then you've tried to handle it and then they're not paying attention, then they're becoming persistent and it's nearly abusive, then you can bring it out.
Okay.
If they're trying to manipulate you, or if something has happened, somebody's trying to blackmail you with it, then probably you bring it out. It could even be just something as simple as, you borrowed some little money somewhere, you've not been able to pay. Now the other person is beginning to threaten you and blackmail you, so then you need to share that.
Yeah.
But if it was some little money from the office and you knew that you could pay it, that's not a matter of national
security.
So you need to know that. But you also need to know what your partner can handle.
Yeah.
Because there are certain partners that even the least of it will break them. So you need to know what they can handle. Then the timing of when you bring up these things and how much you can give at a time.
Wow. So it's good to learn how much you can tell, what you can share, how you can share. Because time is up. We have not been able to handle all your questions, but we will handle them next week. Thank you for tuning into the show. I hope you've learned something here and there. And from this week, you're going to be a better communicator. See you again next week. I've been your host, Linda Talam.
Have you been desiring a place where you can get wholesome education? Search no more. Gospel Light College offers a bachelor's degree in biblical studies and community development. We also offer certificate and diploma courses. May 2021